Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. A special good evening to Her Excellency the President, who I am reliably informed does not miss my live videos, whether it is live or she watches on the rerun. Good evening to all of our public servants, those in the protective services, law enforcement. Good evening to all of the lawyers, all of the judges. Good evening to the parliamentarians, the House of Representatives, members of Parliament, and to the senators. Good evening to the President of the Senate. Good evening to the Speaker of the House. Good evening to the people who really do the job in this country to keep this country going forward. The people who work in solid waste management, the nurses, the people behind the counters in the fast food restaurants and in the warehouses of the groceries and the supermarkets. Good evening to the farmers who kept us fed during the COVID-19 lockdown madness. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. If I left anybody out, it's not by design. I am just saying good evening. Good evening to everybody. Good evening to the Trinbagonians living abroad. Good evening to the people who live in Trinidad and Tobago, who have made Trinidad and Tobago their home, who are not Trinidadians or Tobagonians. Good evening to all the people who are married to foreigners, waiting on the Ministry of National Security to give them their papers, despite them being here years, some decades, some parents of children who are Trinidadians and Tobagonians. Good evening to the Venezuelans who've paid the $50,000 to get their citizenship in a week. Good evening to all of those who uphold the law of Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening to those of you who are successfully breaking the law. Good evening to the Royal Imperial Majestic Banana Republic, Trinidad and Tobago, where nothing do work. Now, if you're a PNM sycophant, you don't care. You could be treading water, you could be treading sewage up to your neck, you could be in raw shit tonight, you don't care, because PNM in power. And once it's the Balize, you're good. You don't care. That's all right. Plenty people who dying today from hunger, poverty, lawlessness, murder, violence. Your parents left you to dead. Your grandparents teach your parents to leave you to dead. And you, if you survive, leaving your own children to dead. Because common sense and reason escapes you. Cultism is the order of the day in Trinidad and Tobago. When you hear the PNM talking heads beating the UNC about corruption, you see, there's a reason the UNC lost the election in 2015. They don't understand communication. Jerry Hadid was a shithong Minister of Communication. Vasant Bharat was a shithong Minister of Communication. Their work wasn't to communicate. Their work was to see how they could organize their business. Let me tell you, every single person, you're going to be shocked at what I'm about to tell you, who conducted massive corruption in the United National Congress under Basleo Pandey, got there from the PNM. The entire Piarco squad, Ish, Brian, Steve, Russell, all of them, PNMites. All of them came from the Balize. All of them went with Johnny Sum to a dinner or a fete in Valsayn and put $1 million in Pandey hand to buy their way in to corrupt the UNC. But the entire 13 that Patrick Manning sent to lock up that fateful Saturday, 12 were PNM members. Brian Quaitong was a member, a PNM member for life. Kamala doesn't know this. She doesn't know to say it. Neither does Anand Ramlogan or any of the other apologists scratching their head trying to decide how to fight the fight. The UNC allowed corruption because Basleo Pandey decided that he was going to sleep with the devil to get into power. The devil that he was going to sleep with, when he said that, were PNM financiers who were fed up of Patrick Manning, who wanted a change, but didn't want to change and lose the gravy pot. So they wanted to make sure they had an in, and the in was a little dinner party in Valsayn where they put $1 million in Pandey hand. Yes, that's the truth. Everything that flowed from there, even Section 34, and email gate, and all of it flowed from PNM members infiltrating the United National Congress, believe it or not. I want the United National Congress members to hold their heads high tonight and tell them Phillip Edward Alexander came out tonight to clear the air and set the record straight that yes, there have been corrupt members of the United National Congress who learned from the PNM, who watched in awe as Ish and Brian and Steve and Russell and crew romped through the treasury under NIPDEC, rebuilding, Piaco, thieving billions. They watched that in awe. They said, teach we want to thief and get away too. But it started in the Balize camp. It is the PNM that corrupted the UNC. The PNM could corrupt SALT. It is why when the Pope came to Trinidad, this was the first place he used the Pope mobile. Here, he didn't want anybody to touch him because in Trinidad, you could have corrupt the Vatican. It stink, it dirty, it nasty. It's a latrine pit and a shithole. And we just beat up ourselves when we live it in squalor, mud between we toes, children swell up, children belly swell up with air, waiting for a meal. You sacrifice your education. You settle for a walk for 10 days for a nip of rum and a half pack of Du Maurier, and you're talking about who the hell is they. Every other country in the world has passed Trinidad and Tobago. We are now the bottom rung of all of the things that don't matter. We are the bottom rung of all the things we don't want to be the bottom of, and we're heading there worse. Today, Trinidad and Tobago, today, hear me again, today, December the 9th, today. You know what today is? Let me give you the exact title of what today is. Today is worldwide. You're not going to believe this, the irony of it. Worldwide today is International Anti-Corruption Day. Now, what you think of those apples? Today, while we bask in the glow of a Senate that legitimized corruption, the rest of planet Earth is celebrating International Anti-Corruption Day. How ironic is that? How ironic that Keith Christopher Mugabe Sabgaroli, the biggest mouth, the loudest barking dog, the PNM's Rottweiler, who used to bark at everybody for corruption, heralded in the greatest corruption the world, this country, has ever seen. We are racing to the bottom rung. Look at this. Colm Mberto, Minister of Finance, gave in the committee stage, and I was listening, and if I was in the viewers gallery, because I went to the Senate, and the police officers told me, Mr. Alexander, we don't know why the viewing gallery is closed to the public. It's supposed to be a democracy. You are supposed to be entitled to it, but it's closed, and we apologize. So I left. But I want to tell you something. If I was in the viewing gallery, I'd stand up and tell Colm, you're talking shit. You're talking unadulterated shit. You're talking so much shit, you're going to drown yourself in shit. Because shit could stand taller than you. Colm Mberto said in the committee stage of the Senate, and the Senate president didn't slap him and tell him what stupidness you're talking in the blasted Senate. When he said that the reason we cannot have government-to-government procurement regulator oversight is because in case Amory Brown said he was heading the AIDS committee in Trinidad and Tobago, and Amory Brown said they was getting AIDS money, and the AIDS money directives were coming straight from wherever the AIDS money was coming from, the European Union and the United States, and they don't want to work with Trinidad rules. They have their own rules. And I wanted to tell Amory Brown, you stunting jackass. You stunting jackass. If PNM didn't thief with money, we wouldn't need the IADB and the European Commission and the World Bank and the United States. We had $3 trillion. We had more money than God. We had money to make Dubai weep. Where's our money? Where's our money in a country that is so corrupt? The United States of America Treasury Department wrote an anti-corruption law because of corruption that took place between an American company and Trinidad and Tobago. We so stink and dirty, we've smeared our shit across planet Earth. And on Anti-Corruption Day, World Anti-Corruption Day, International Anti-Corruption Day, our parliament legitimized corruption. What do you think of them apples? While I'm talking to you, fighting, my bandwidth from my phone is pissing out like a man with prostate cancer, trying to get to you across squeezed and tightened internet, because the people who control the airwaves in Trinidad and Tobago, who block me on the media, will do everything in their power to prevent you hearing my voice and the truth. Trinidad is a shit hole among shit holes. A corrupt prime minister summoned leaders of churches and bribed them before the election. Hold some money and hush your ass. Don't stand up on the pulpit and tell them if Christ was in Trinidad, he'd have walked in that Senate and turn over the table. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. Take a 10 million and hush. And our good and kind, pious preacher folk, priests, pundits, imams went hat in hand. Pay we, brother, because in this land, you could buy silence with the right amount of money. Tell me a lie. Because I yet to hear a priest, a pundit, an imam stand up and tell them what is going on in this country. Only hear what Phillip Alexander saying. He's the only man that talking truth. The reality is what is going on in this country is madness. The government is elected criminality. We are using our parliament to legitimize corruption. This is what the PNM inserted into the corruption procurement law that was written and passed in 2014. 2014. It was ready to be proclaimed. They amended it 3 times. But this amendment here is spit in God's face. This is spit in God's face, because in God we trust. Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer. With boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare, side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives today. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. But we spit in his face from the parliament. And you know why we spit in his face from the parliament? Because our government and our parliament has been stealing since day one, 1962. That national anthem that I just read for you, that was written by Castani, that national anthem wasn't written for Trinidad and Tobago. We even thieved that. That national anthem was written for the Federation of Caribbean States that preceded independent Trinidad and Tobago. And we even thief that. Our constitution, the reason our governments can't work, the reason our parliament makes no sense is because we thief a federation constitution and hem, cut, nip, tuck in Marlborough House. Quick, come now, fellas, point together, make something work. The Queen ready to kick we black asses out of here. Let me get something functional. So on September 1st, 1962, we could say we free and take over the thieving. Trinidad and Tobago. This latrine pit, this rat nest, this shithole we live in. Your government had the brazen faceness, the audacity to add to the procurement legislation. I mean, it is so ridiculous. They had to watch each other and laugh. They had to say, boy, you think we're getting away with this? This act, this is subsection 5 with an asterisk, as almost to say, let me guide you to the spot by which we skull rape you. This act shall not apply to the following services provided to public bodies or state-controlled enterprises. In other words, the procurement legislation that we need to protect us from ministerial theft, from Ministry of Works, from Ministry of Health, the procurement act that we need to protect us from the regional health authorities, from all the special purpose companies, from HDC, UDCOT, TSTT, WASA, TNTEC, the actual bill that we need as a law to protect us from having to pay $500,000 to rent a tent for triage outside the Mount Hope Hospital, that make international news, that costs 50 times what a hospital should have cost per room, per square foot. We've written a law and passed it that says this procurement legislation applies everywhere but where it matters, and worse, in case it slips past, In case it gets to a place where we did not know to protect our teething, we've also added such other services as the minister may by order determine. So the minister could wake up tomorrow and say, anything is okay. We don't want the procurement regulator looking into this. Financial services, legal services, accounting and auditing services, medical services, or such other services that the minister may by order determine are outside of the purview of the procurement regulator. They're outside the purview of the FIU. They're outside the purview of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. They're outside the purview of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Theft in this country is high level. It cannot be challenged. And in case, we've written a law that says when we want a thief, it's okay. A dagger to the heart of transparency. The day before International Anti-Corruption Day, Trinidad and Tobago passed a law where we inserted into the law, after the fact, a clause that removes the power of the very oversight that we need to prevent the Ministry of Housing through the HDC giving a P&M financier a contract to build 10,000 houses while bid rigging, without bid rigging, sole select. It's like the bulbs contract again. It is like Stuart Young when he gave Abu the contract to secure the nation with his private police. If the rest of us didn't nearly kick Stuart in his ass, that would have been happening and Abu would have been happily collecting that money. It prevents the procurement regulator from actually doing the job. It is a law in the name of law only, but it cannot be enforced. There is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do. The People's National Movement is corruption in and of itself. When people tell you God is a Trinity, they lie. Satan is a Trinity. God left a long time ago. God could not be a Trinity. And 510 Trinidadians get murdered every year, and we okay with that. God couldn't be a Trinity, and little 15-year-old girls disappearing, and little 18-year-old girls being found in rivers dead, and we don't care. God could not be a Trinity, and this country be so violent, so hateful, so spiteful, so criminal, so corrupt, and we don't care. Satan is a Trinity, and he laughing at we, because all of us together live in this shithole. Today, somebody told me, when you're pregnant in Canada, front of the line, best parking spaces, they open doors for you. And I had to say, because it's a decent community, somebody told me in Japan, people step on a staircase, people step on an escalator, they immediately go to the left. They immediately go to the left. In case somebody's in a hurry, they could use the right. In Sweden and Germany, when there is a traffic jam, people pull and leave a space in the middle in case emergency vehicles need to pass or somebody that has a problem. In this shithole, in this rat nest, in this latrine pit, if you do that, the PH taxis will fill the middle. If you do that, they will start a party on the right side of the escalator. We don't do nothing right. In Trinidad, you're pregnant, they push you down to get your space. We don't do nothing right. This is a shithole of a country. I want to say it again. I want you to go into, you know whose ears it have to go into? All the people I said good night to. The Senate President, the Speaker of the House. I listened to the Speaker of the House today pounce on the member for Mayaro, who barely strayed. He was so on point. His words were waxing so eloquent. I accidentally touched the Parliament channel on my radio. I wasn't trying to find the Parliament channel. I was looking to find a different music. And he was talking. But his words, I am a wordsmith. And his words were flowing so eloquently. It was so interesting to hear. He was building such a proper case. And the moment he just made an aside, he made a reference. The Speaker of the House stood up. Member. Because the Speaker of the House job is to protect PNM corruption. The Speaker of the House job. And when people ask me, Philip, why you're not in the Senate? Because they put me out every day. I would stand up and say, but this is bullshit. This is not what the people want to be paying for. This is the highest court in the land. Each and every one of you in here, from parliamentarian to police, the people of Trinidad and Tobago paying all their blasted salaries, sweating and taking jam to pay taxes for you all to come and do this shit. To the independent senators, I want to give you all a round of applause, but I can't because you abstained. You were supposed to vote a resounding no. No. Anthony Vieira, I listened to you and I felt a surge of relief. I listened to you, Anthony Vieira, and I said to myself, this man gets it. Anthony Vieira wove together a tapestry of every dissenting voice. I sat in awe. Anthony Vieira, as an independent senator, brought everything from the Law Association to the Chamber of Commerce, Manufacturers Association, every man in the street, and every single person, ex-Senate President Timothy Hamilton. He put everybody's objections together and made a perfect contribution. Why, after all of that, Senator Vieira, you did not vote a resounding no? Why not? I don't understand. Help me understand. Help me understand. Because I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago, the parliament belongs to us, not 320,000 PNMs. The parliament belongs to 1.1 million of us also. And that is why I said, as of now, I say it again, Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC. And this is for the UNC members, This is for the UNC members more than anybody else, because you all deserve better. You all deserve a proper chance at government, because every little chance the UNC members got, they took it and they made their communities better. Mova beat them Lavantel, Silots had change. 45 years of PNM, Mova beat them Lavantel and Silots still wading up to their knees in their living room in raw sewage and canal water. Diego Martin became a hotspot and an at-risk community under the PNM, but every time the UNC got office, UNC diehard communities improved. They got sidewalks. I hear the PNM people talk about box drain. Box drain. You know why they had so much box drain contracts? You son of a bitch. Because stink and dirty PNM with their recalcitrant minority nonsense starved the Indian communities in this country and refused to give them box drain. So they was coming outside the house and standing up in canal water. And while Mova, Bitam, Lavatel and Silots still accept that shit from PNM, when the UNC was in office, their communities improved. So don't talk about box drain. They get box drain, they get street lights, they get electricity, they get roads, they get a highway. They get a highway. Jackass Kublal Singh, who went and stunt for the people outside the PNM office about Monday's here and all this bullshit you want to talk about. What the UNC people wanted was a way to get the children to school in the morning without having to spend 5 hours in traffic. That is what they wanted, you stunting jackass. Where's your voice today, Kublal? Where are you today? Where? While the country is being eviscerated, mounted and humped. Where are you? Where? The People's National Movement members deserve so much better, but I can't reach them. The cult spoil them. The cult twist their brain. And I promise them this. If you could hear, I promise you this, and the ones that have escaped the cult indoctrination, I promise you, if I work with the UNC, my role, if they give me a role, is I want more for Bitam Lavantil Silots. I don't need to be an MP. I want to come and fix it for you. I want to come, when I'm done, they can't pretend they do it. It's like Colm, when I fix the intersection by 4 roads, when I designed the bypass, that Jack Warner say, if it will work, let's build it. That was a PNM diehard constituency, 3 PNMs, Colm Imbert, Amory Brown, Keith Rowley. Left the people to sit in traffic every day from 3 o'clock till 7 o'clock. And it is Jack Warner that said, all right, Philip, Let me build it. I give Jack so much jam. Never get one pre-action protocol letter. Every stink and dirty PNM financier up my crack with lawyers because they don't want nobody to hear. They want to drive wrong in the fancy German and European automobile, live in Fairway, Sinclair and Goodwood Park and pretend that they're very, very successful. Yes, successful crooks and bandits. And at some point, all unfair games will play over. Even the wins that you think that you're winning now. Even those. I give my strength, my full and unending support to the UNC. I'm done with politics, you know. I had done with politics. Now, I don't want no office, and I still, when people ask me, what deal you cut with Kamala? Because I cut Vasant Bharat a whole new asshole in that election. Because Vasant is a PNM stooge, and look for him taking a PNM walk now that he get the cut ass of his life. But when they ask me what deal I cut with Kamala, I say none. Me and Kamala ain't talk yet. We ain't talk yet. Why doing? It's for the UNC members. Because the UNC members know that if we get them back into office, they ain't gonna put up with the same corruption as before. They ain't gonna want to lose office again. The UNC members know I will hold the UNC feet to the fire too. So we have to start somewhere. And the place we have to start is to get rid of the cult, to uproot the Balize cult. We have to get rid of every PNM political operative in every state board, every state office, every public sector position, everybody who was given a position because they have a PNM party card to facilitate corruption and enable white-collar criminality. You have to get all of them out of office and fire them. That's your right as a citizen in this country. We want a better functioning Trinidad and Tobago, and it can't fix as long as the PNM exists. It can't fix as long as the corrupt PNM exists. The Chamber of Commerce was buffed by Rowley when Gabriel Farrier, CEO, said it is corruption in government. And the Chamber of Commerce did not break ranks. They weren't firing him. He tendered his resignation and they gave him back. They told Keith Rowley, hush, you're wrong. The country corrupt. Amory Brown, we don't need money to fight AIDS from the European Union on their terms. You think they could go Singapore and dictate terms? You're mad in your stunting ass? You think they could go Dubai and dictate terms? You're mad in your stunting ass? Israel, Japan, Spain, Portugal. You think they could go Canada, any real country, anywhere, Brazil? You think they could go even Guyana and dictate the pace? You damn fool. We get to write the laws of our sovereign nation, but you always talk sovereignty when it's convenient to you. It's like the fat-ass brigade. There's only stand up and talk when they're defending PNM bullshit, but women dead in all over the place. Shannon Banfield dead 4 years. I ain't heard the PNM fat-ass brigade say a word yet of condolences to her family. Yeah? We need now to stand together. And to those of you who continue to sit idly by and wait for other people to fix this country, you will wail and gnash your teeth, you know. You will remember that you had an opportunity to stand. I stand now, and I say that the only way to fix Trinidad and Tobago is to get rid of the corruption that the PNM has instilled on this country. Colm Imbert said that the reason he removed government and government oversight is because every time he needed a loan from the IDB or the World Bank, he would need the Attorney General to sign off on it. Now, when I heard him say that, it sounded like he was trying to make the point that this was an unnecessary delay. I'll tell you this. No IDB loan, no World Bank loan happens in under a year. None. The conversation begins and it takes time to structure the financing, the payback, what it's for, how you're doing it, what they're leveraging to justify the finance. So it's not like you ask them for a loan. Hey, I need $50. Lend me now. Sure, come for it, but the AG had a sign. It don't take so. It don't happen so. It takes a long time. So the AG could be in the loop. And why not have the Attorney General in the loop? Why not have a second signature in case we have to jail you all for corruption? Why not jail two? Why not you, Minister of Finance, if you made a corrupt deal and your Attorney General signed off on it, why not jail both of you? In a real country, of course. But what is the problem with you who are doing a deal that binds Trinidad and Tobago? What is the problem with you having the custodian of our laws look over the contract you're signing? What's wrong with that? I had a problem with that. If it had a couple weeks, because I know Faris reads slow. So if it adds a couple of weeks for him to contrast and compare, what's wrong with that? IDB ain't going nowhere. The World Bank is putting you on a timer. So what's the problem? What exactly is the problem with that? Calm. But you are the last person that should be talking about the details of our laws. You've broken our proceeds of crime law. You've engaged in criminality, Colm Imbert. Right now, if this were a real country, the Prime Minister would have had to fire you. And the Commissioner of Police and the Director of Public Prosecutions would be investigating you for your front page Sabga News propaganda stunt. Because when you came to try to pretend that your hands clean and your heart pure, and them nasty corruptors say that you're too stupid to take a bribe, you forget you were part of the debate that piloted into law an act that says if you are approached as a public official with a bribe and do not report the briber, you commit an offense, liable to 15 years in jail and a $25 million fine. Call, and you didn't say it's one person. You said it's people, persons, plural. Who are they, Colm? You are a sworn custodian of our parliament. That there are people outside there who try to corrupt. Instead of giving us the stunt and the propaganda to try to fool people that your hands clean and your heart pure, why don't you tell us, Colm, who are the people that think you're too stupid to be corrupt? Why not get back at them and put their names in public? Colm. It's time, Trinidad and Tobago, to clean the stables. The Aegean stables are a mess. It's time to clean it. I want to tell you something. The reason that it is difficult for some people to accept, but I have no choice. Unlike the other 21 political parties that tried to get you to vote for them in 2020, I am still here, and I am still fighting, and I am still looking for a way to rescue this country for you in your old age and for your children and for your grandchildren too. And I have weighed all of the evidence. I have looked at all of the options. I have met with all of the people that you could think that you could assemble, make a round table, make a square table, make a march, make a protest, make a press conference, make a release, put we in a nice picture and put we name and call we a new party. And I have looked at all of it and none of it could work. The only thing that could beat the PNM is the UNC. The arithmetic, even with our stolen vote numbers, because we know we've gotten thousands more votes than they gave us officially, but we can't challenge it because it's a rat nest, it's a latrine pit, it's a shithole where everything is corrupt, where nothing works. But the only thing that beats the PNM, if the Tobago, if Watson Duke party and our party's votes were with the UNC for 2020, PNM is opposition right now. The only thing that saves us from the PNM is all of us working together. And it's easy for people to talk shit. Now I know, because as Chalky say, I in tongue long time. When all you talk what all you know, don't talk what all you hear. I talking things that I see firsthand, or that I know from my family, or that I absolutely was present for. If I tell you, I know. I sit down on the wrong table with Ansel Roger, Keith Rowley, and Faris Al-Rawi and listen to them plot. I know, I was there. Paul Daniel Nahus could tell you, because they had sucked him into the PNM and they used that boy till they couldn't use him no more. And then he come to his senses and he come back out, ask Paul. He was there too. Ask Kirk Megu. He was right there. Right there. We sit down and we listen to them plot. Section 34. And after the march, the mission was to weaken the government. Take out Jack, take out Annan. Anything Jack and Annan do worse than Stuart Young? If Stuart Young was in the UNC, the PNM media would be having a field day. Some of them talkers that not talking now, that if UNC come back into office, will be talking again. But I want that Minister of Communication work, so I could sit them down and pat them down and leave them in the corner. It is time, Trinidad and Tobago, that we work together, all of us, and I watch. We called out Kamla Prasad Bisesa. We called her out for people in her party. And in 2020, she removed them. Keith Rowley brought Amory Brown. Amory Brown messaged me. I was a stranger to Amory Brown. And he messaged me to meet in Marriott Hotel to tell me how he detests Keith Rowley. Now, his little stint in Brazil might have changed his heart and warmed him. I don't know if they exchanged correspondence, became pen pals, and developed a loving friendship, which is why Amory is back in the Senate defending PNM bullshit. But I know Amory Brown. And Penelope Beckles is the rightful leader of the PNM. And in that cult, if Penelope not on the inside, she outside. So she had to take she jam and watch that jackass make a mess of the country. Houses come in, yes, Penelope. But who building the houses and how they get the contract? Were you even in the room? Those of you saying the live sticking, wait it out, watch it at the end. It will be here in the archives to view, and share it, please. Share it now, share it then. Share it continuously. There are a lot of people who are talking to you, and I am happy that others are talking. But again, it has to come down to what do we do next. And the only thing, those of you who calling for a march and for a protest, you can't march and protest without an end. You have to know what the end is, what it takes, what you want to get to. And the only thing we want is fresh elections. So if we're going to march, we have to march for fresh elections. But if we're marching, if we're protesting, if we're shutting down for the long term until everybody say, all right, can't work, the country ungovernable, call an election. And everybody who not PNM, stand on the other side. Politically, we work together, we must beat them in the north. We must beat them in the south. We must beat them in the east. We must beat them in the west. We must beat them in all 41 constituencies. But there are some diehards. When the NAR was the coming together of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago, if those at the top of the NAR could have kept their racism in their pants and continue to do what the NAR was doing, Trinidad and Tobago would be a better country. It would be a better country. And if straight out of that attempted coup, all the coup plotters was taken down to Independence Square and hung, regardless of your amnesty and the Privy Council. You want to leave the Privy Council? Leave now. You can't tell me people could hold this country to gun and shoot the Prime Minister and everybody walk away normal. You can't. And if we had done that, Trinidad a better country today. But the stink and corrupt funny money partners behind the PNM that stink and dirty, that bring in them guns. Commission of Inquiry, we have actual testimony. Why Baka didn't go and give his testimony as to why? because it wasn't about the piece of land alone, and it wasn't about Jean Miles' statue that we get back $500,000 from Tesoro scandal. It wasn't that. It wasn't just that. But we need to fix Trinidad and Tobago. We need to. We are going to grow all in this country. And if we are staying here, we have to fix it. Because if we don't fix it, get the hell out. Right now, tonight, a very wealthy person that I know who lost everything, who knew life, who grew up in the lap of luxury, who literally had a gold spoon in his mouth, is in General Hospital tonight with an oxygen mask on, dying and looking around him. And I am sure he must be remembering his life down the islands and the amount of opulence they had. They owned a valley. Now they can't afford to put him in a private hospital, so he's in the stink general hospital. Every single person. When my friend Marlon Eskai dropped his daughter to school and drove to the gym to get buff for Carnival 2020, he didn't know he was going to get a heart attack and die. He didn't know that that was the last he was seeing of his home and his daughter. And people need to understand this, because you can't put off fixing what you need to fix for tomorrow, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. You are not sure. The thing that struck me, I watched this show, this series. I watched this series, The Queen's Gambit. This little girl in the backseat of this car with her mother driving. This is the first opening scene of the show. With her mother driving, left home with mommy and is driving down the road, and they get in an accident and mommy dead. She had her father. By that evening, she's in an orphanage. The whole world that she knew is gone. You never know. And I'm appealing to the people above the age of 18 years old in this country, from 18 to 108. Tonight, now, before it gets worse. It's getting worse. They've now made it possible for them to thief everything. We found out they're selling TNTech. We found out from the international news. They didn't tell us. They didn't come to us and say, hey, also. But they tell us the regulatory and the industry commission looking at raising the rates. That's part of the deal. We need to fight that. You can't raise the rates. We need to block that sale. We need to do that through the courts. We can't continue like this. You are going to end up in a situation where you are older, where everything that you thought was going to meet and save you. Today I went to Scotiabank Starlight to meet one jackass of a security guard talking to all the people that we want. I told you all this was coming. You can't even get to a teller. You can't get to a representative of the bank that's holding your money. You are talking to this freak of nature who is just, his job is to look at you threateningly, like they're going to beat you for your money. So instead of staff and customer service, is Butu and Big Kick from Scotiabank. It's changing. There's a property tax law. There is nothing stopping them from using WASA and water bill and increasing the water bill beyond what you could pay. A judge, a high court judge in this country, died in such poverty. His wife used to be able to turn on one solitary light bulb in the house. One. Because their pension couldn't pay for food, medicine, electricity, and WASA. It doesn't have to continue this way. I have said, other people, don't come to me and tell me what I'm doing. Or if you don't like what I'm doing, haul your ass. Somebody tell me he was supporting me, but he's not supporting me anymore. Go back to what you was doing. This is what I am doing. And I am doing it for a better country. You say that you're not voting anymore. I don't know who you think that helping. But I want to tell you something. We have to break the back of the beast. The corruption and the criminality, the division, the social division that is the PNM, it has to end. And we need a government in office that will stand up to attempted coup, to invasion from the funny money people. Once you get PNM out of office, any number could play because the funny money crew want the money. So you need to make sure that you vote people into office that will stand up and fight and defend Trinidad and Tobago, as should have been done 1990. But we learn, hopefully, we learn. Put people in office who smart, who capable. Put people, and I am saying, the United National Congress has the votes to get the PNM out of office. They have my full, unflinching support. What do I want in return? Nothing. If they offer me a post, let me fix more for Bitam Ravantel and Silots. Make me the Minister of Communication. I want to make sure that we fix this place the right way this time. Yeah? Those of you who thinking, boy, PNM corrupt, UNC corrupt, well, here what we're going to do. Let's put our hands in our laps and pray. Let's just pray tonight. Father in heaven, you've said to us, pray to God, but tie your camel. But we've allowed our camels to run free. And we want you to come down to earth on your busy schedule and capture our camels for us. Because we're jackasses. And you made us so. Amen. Because if you don't have a plan, don't knock mine. My plan is to work with the United National Congress, and it is easy for me to stomach it now because Kamala Persad-Bissessar has taken the steps to remove people that many of you have said were corrupt. I know what I said. You better know what you say. And she's put new and interesting people. David Naked, Anita, I can't remember Anita's last name, Saddam Hussein, Vandana. I like in that crew. I want more of that and less of the dinosaurs like Fitzgerald Hines and blast from the past, suck up for a post Amory Brown. I want less gargoyles like Colm Imbert. When you turn on the parliament, it's to watch a set of crypt keepers, fellows who had to take 4 Viagra just to piss. How is that your government? They're making laws and rules to run a country that they will not see. They will not be alive to see. They are assigning you consequences that they don't have to live with. Done that. Let's get some young people under the age of 40 in that parliament. Let's get more women. Let's get more people under the age of 40 years old. We live in a world where you do and you enjoy what you do, or you don't do and you live with the consequences. It's time for us to stand together, Trinidad and Tobago. And nobody, not a single person, has fought the fights that I have fought. And I am still fighting for a better Trinidad and Tobago. And again I say, I am yet to have a conversation with anybody of any UNC ilk. People are messaging me and I say, not right now. But I want to put the UNC in power. I want to put the UNC in office. I'm calling on the UNC members. They're playing with the live. So let me say this quick before they cut it. I am calling on the UNC members. Energize yourselves. Get ready. It is time to stand and vote. We need every single person in this country. We need to cross 500,000 votes so the EBC cap return and call for miscount. We need 600 and 700. They have 300,000. We need the rest voting. Once you're above the voting age, once you're breathing, we're going to carry you. We need everybody. And we need an election, and not in 2025. We need to organize ourselves right now and begin the process of taking back our country. And that starts legally, and that starts lawfully. If you want it, we have the democratic right to fire the government, and it is time we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, told Keith Rowley and his hooligan band and his cabal of criminals that we are not interested in them any longer. And I am willing to talk publicly with everybody who stands for a better Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? Until tomorrow.